Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Joshua RC, Joshua Reviews, Movies, and More. And today I have a very quick and short Marvel update for you all. This will be hopefully pretty short. I have a few things to show you all, and then in a few days I will be doing the very dreadful DC update, but that's okay because Marvel's on top right now and we love Marvel. Marvel's the franchise that got me into all this stuff. So please make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video, share with friends and family. That'd be great. I apologize for the lighting. It's not the best. I apologize for the setup. It's not the best. I'm currently working on that. But, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and get into this update. So, like I said, subscribe, share with friends and family, whatever. Do all that. In today's video, we're going to be talking mostly Spider-Man Brand New Day and Avengers Doomsday. We have a few updates on Spider-Man 5. Kevin Feige's come out and kind of talked about that and kind of the projection of when that might happen. And then we have a few things to talk about in regards to Kevin Feige himself and some things that he said. And then we actually have some things to talk about in regards to Zack Snyder possibly joining the MCU. So we're going to get into all that in a minute. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to go ahead and get out of the way is that Kevin Feige spoke on whether or not audiences are getting tired of Marvel movies. So, he wanted to say, many things can be true at once. I think last year's Fantastic Four looked and sounded like nothing that had been done before in a superhero movie, and it only grossed $521 million. Brand New Day is very directly a part 4. It picks up right after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, and yet it tells a story that resonates. It's ultimately about loneliness and the dangers of staying in our apartments by ourselves, looking at our phones, that resonates across cultures and across the globe right now. I think a lot of what he just said is true. I think he did just admit that Fantastic Four kind of flopped last year, which I think is kind of crazy. He didn't say it too enthusiastically, but hopefully we still get a sequel to that movie. I'd love a whole trilogy of Fantastic Four movies with that cast. I cannot wait to see them back in Doomsday. But apart from that, I think as of right now, I don't know if Marvel is necessarily experiencing a fatigue right now. I think what they are doing is kind of trying to get back on track and trying to win back the audience's attention. And because, over the last few years, the MCU has kind of taken a bit of a dip. Audiences haven't really been checking in as much, mainly just because the quality hasn't been as good as it was in the Infinity Saga. It is what it is. It's unfortunate. But Marvel's slowly starting to get back to that quality over quantity mindset. And, it just came out that they are going to be cutting back on the amount of live action shows that they produce over there at Disney Plus. Another thing that I want to talk about is Wonder Man Season 2. This was a thing that was announced already. It was greenlit. It was happening. And then a few days ago, it was announced that it will no longer be moving forward over there at Marvel Studios and Disney. And it has not been picked up for a second season, which is very sad. The show has been canceled. It's really unfortunate because I really did love that show. And I loved the message that it brought to our screens. And it was a show about an actor, but also it was a superhero thing as well. And I think that's what was really great about it. And it had some really powerful conversations and writing in that show. So, it is what it is. It's unfortunate. And I guess we'll never be able to find out where Josh Gad is in the MCU, but it's okay. Let's go ahead and get into our next thing here. All right, so Kevin Feige went ahead and confirmed that Spider-Man Brand New Day will lead into another well-known Marvel franchise created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Now, we don't really know what this could be. Obviously, the obvious thing that makes sense is the next thing that comes out in terms of Marvel movies is Doomsday. But Feige could very well be talking about something else here. I'm very intrigued to see where Brand New Day sort of takes us. Obviously, that post-credit scene at the end of Brand New Day, spoilers for Brand New Day if you have not seen it, that post-credit scene could mean a lot of things. Some people have been speculating maybe Miles Morales. Some people have been really speculating that it's tied to Secret Wars. Who knows? I'm very excited for the future of the MCU. And speaking of Avengers Doomsday, we have something that we have to talk about in regards to Avengers Doomsday. Two things, actually. So the first thing I want to go ahead and talk about is Avengers Doomsday already crossed $19 million domestically, 4 months ahead of its release. And this is only coming from 1,000 theaters nationwide, which is absolutely insane. This movie is a major event. I'm really glad that we're able to have Marvel event films back in theaters again. We haven't really had it since No Way Home. I cannot wait to see this movie, although I am really skeptical of how they're kind of handling it and how they're going about it, but we shall see. But this just goes to show that the world is ready for Doomsday, and I cannot wait to see what the Russos have cooked up for this movie. Obviously, I'm not going to doubt the Russos, given their track record within the MCU, making some of the best films really ever within the superhero genre, not even just the MCU. So I'm really, really excited, and I cannot wait to see how much more money this makes. I know I already secured my tickets for Doomsday, and hopefully I will be back home by the time that Doomsday comes out, so I can go ahead and see it. But we shall see. Right now, I'm still in Costa Rica, and I'm not really sure when I'm coming back home, but hopefully it should be relatively soon. So let's go ahead and get into our next thing here. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about in regards to Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars is the writer's room. So it turns out Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, who actually worked on Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man Brand New Day, actually worked on the scripts for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, a lot of people are really 50-50 about this, because obviously No Way Home and Brand New Day are such great films, obviously, duh. But in terms of Brand New Day, another writer, and I cannot pronounce his last name, but Justin, whatever his last name is, insert last name, did indeed come in to work on the Brand New Day script and kind of came in and did some rewrites, which have fans left a little skeptical on what went on behind the scenes of that movie. But look, I'm holding out hope. I really do hope that Doomsday and Secret Wars are great, and I think McKenna and Summers have done a great job with Brand New Day and No Way Home. So hopefully they can continue the same track record here. I know, McFeely, Michael Waldron, all of these people did indeed work on the Avengers movie. So we shall wait and see what is in store for us with these next two movies. All right, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about Shang-Chi here, considering Daniel Destin Cretton did indeed direct Spider-Man Brand New Day. He actually went on to say in an interview with The Wrap, he said, when you look at what happened to the industry, at least from my perspective, it was just like everything went to shit after that. I feel like if Marvel was where it was before, we would have had maybe 2 sequels already. Who knows? I've been wanting a sequel to this movie for a very, very long time. I remember seeing this movie when it first came out, and it was just absolutely amazing. Daniel Destin Cretton is a phenomenal director, and his track record within the MCU speaks for itself. I'm very, very excited to see Shang-Chi and Doomsday, and I'm very, very excited to see on whether or not Daniel Destin Cretton actually does pick up that sequel, but we shall see. Again, I'm excited for wherever the MCU is headed at the moment. I think they're finally starting to get back on track. But post Secret Wars, I'd love to see a Shang-Chi sequel, and who knows, maybe even sooner than that. Maybe have a movie in between Doomsday and Secret Wars, but I'm pretty sure Kevin Feige did just come out and talk about how that is not going to happen. But it is what it is. It's unfortunate. But we're going to go ahead and get into our next thing here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this next half of the video will be Spider-Man Brand New Day heavy. So, I'm not sure if I'm going to be talking spoilers, but if I do, I'll make sure to put a spoiler warning in the video. But Spider-Man Brand New Day has already crossed earned $46 million alone domestically on Monday, which is absolutely crazy, the highest of all time. That is insane. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the numbers that this movie continues to crush at the box office, because this is just absolutely insane. Spider-Man Brand New Day is already the highest grossing film of 2026, which is absolutely insane. Not just domestically, globally, this is the highest grossing film of 2026, which is absolutely incredible. It's very, very well deserved. This movie's great. I've already seen it, and it's just an amazing film and experience. And I hope everyone can take the time out of their day to go see this movie, because I think it has a message that will resonate with a lot of people our age, in our generation, and hopefully with others as well. I'm really, really excited to see the future of this character, and that's something that I'll be talking about here in a second in regards to Spider-Man 5. So, just a little bit of a recap here. Here's every single MCU film that has crossed $1 billion since Avengers Endgame. Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man No Way Home, Deadpool & Wolverine, and Spider-Man Brand New Day. You're recognizing a little bit of a pattern here. Now, the only thing that this screams to me is that Sony is never giving back the rights to Marvel, like, ever. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. They're doing a great job with the character itself. I do know that Tom Rothman did just come out and confirm that there are no more Spider-Man spin-off sequels in the works. So no more Kraven the Hunter, no more Madam Web, no more, any of that shit that's going on over there at Sony. Andrew Garfield did just come out and say that he would do a Spider-Man 3 if given the opportunity, and he'd want to do something unique with the character. So I'm very, very intrigued to see whether Tom Rothman brings Andrew Garfield into his office to talk about that. But in regards to the Spider-Man spinoffs itself, Spider-Man villain spinoffs, we will, first of all, not be attending those. And Tom Rothman even came out and addressed the fact that the audience was not interested in that. Whether or not that goes to speak about the films itself, is a totally different subject, but I think quite frankly, it does. And it just was not the quality that those films needed at all. And they weren't really ever needed in the first place. So yeah, I think Spider-Man is going to be around for quite some time, and then eventually, Tom Holland did come out and talk about with Josh Horowitz about how the game plan has already been mapped out in regards to passing the baton to another Spider-Man, and I think we all know who that is. That will obviously be Miles Morales. Spoiler warning for Spider-Man Brand New Day. A lot of people actually didn't pick up on this, but in the scene where Bruce Banner is talking to his class, okay, he mentions a girl named Cindy. This could obviously be Cindy Moon. She's a very, very famous Spider-Man character in the comics. And for whatever reason, I'm forgetting her actual superhero name off the top of my head. And I think it's like Spider Silk, something like that. A Silk, right? It's my bad. I know there was a project in development about her a few years ago. I don't think it ever got off the ground. But that'd be a very, very interesting take on it, to introduce Cindy Moon into the Spider-Man world. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into our next thing here. Ladies and gentlemen, Spider-Man Brand New Day will cross $2 billion by the end of its second weekend globally. $2 billion. This is beating out Avengers Endgame, I'm pretty sure. This is beating out a lot of the MCU's past work. It is very, very well deserved. I did not think that it was going to make this much money, but damn, Spider-Man is just that guy, man. He is that character, and he has brought so many people to the theaters, and that I'm grateful for, obviously. I cannot wait to see the future of this character, and Tom Holland does such a great job in that role, and I cannot wait to see more of him. And speaking of the Spider-Man 5 and the future of that character, let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, so this will be my last thing that I will talk about here, and then I will get into the Zack Snyder stuff. So Kevin Feige was asked about Spider-Man 5, and he went on to say, there are plans, but right now he's going to rest after that global tour. He and Zendaya are going to take a good and restful victory lap, which they very much deserve. I am really, really excited for Spider-Man 5. I would obviously love to see Daniel Destin Cretton back at the helm. Kevin Feige and Amy Pascal have said, if they have their way, that will be the case. I'd love to see, a film with Daredevil finally. I think that team up finally deserves to happen. I really did think that we were going to get that in this film. But in the next film, I think it would be really, really cool. We already brought in Punisher and Spider-Man Brand New Day. And it'd be really, really cool to maybe see Frank Castle, Matt Murdock, and Peter Parker all on the same screen together. Punisher, Spider-Man, and Daredevil all on the same screen. I think that'd be really, really awesome. And maybe to have a film that ties in all of these parts of New York and the crime that goes on. So we saw Tombstone and Brand New Day. So I'd love to see a film maybe about Tombstone, Hammerhead, Fisk, all battling for the power of New York, and I think that'd be really, really cool. Obviously, we'd have to see how Daredevil Born Again Season 3 comes out. Dario Scardapane, the showrunner for that show, did just come out and said the season has finally wrapped filming. Don't know what happened. I'm very, very excited to see how that all comes out. So I'm really, really excited for Daredevil Born Again Season 3 and everything in general that's happening with the MCU. Speaking of the future of the MCU, let's go ahead and talk about Zack Snyder here. All right, so rumors have been speculating all over the internet, okay, especially ever since My Time to Shine Hello came out and just randomly tweeted on a random day, I hear Kevin Feige is indeed interested in Zack Snyder. Now, obviously, I do not have a problem with this, okay? I loved Snyder's work over there at DC, okay, and I love just his work in general. I think he's a phenomenal filmmaker. Not as great as a writer, but a great director and a great filmmaker. And the visual language that he brings to his films is very articulate and it's very great. And Joe Russo and the Russos have come out and said that they've taken a lot of inspiration from Zack. And I think there's been a lot of rumors circulating online about whether or not Zack is being wanted to direct maybe a Marvel DC crossover film. I don't think that's the case, but I know Daniel Destin Cretton did come out and say that Mark Ruffalo does have some pretty interesting ideas for a Hulk solo movie, and I think that'd be great for Zack. A Hulk film I think would be really, really cool to see. Or maybe a Wolverine solo film I think would be great. I know he's really wanted to do Daredevil and Elektra. I know that's the thing that he's really wanted to do over there at Marvel is a Daredevil and Elektra story. But obviously I don't think that'll work out, but who knows? Maybe Zack Snyder could be on set with Charlie Cox one day. I think the story would have to be right, and I think the writers attached would have to be the right fit. And I think the way that Zack operates is very, very interesting to say the least. And like I said, I loved his work over there at DC. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I would love to see Zack and what he could bring to the MCU. And I would love for Feige and Zack to have those conversations, but who knows? Yeah, guys, I shall catch you all in the next video. Take care, and please make sure to subscribe, leave a like on the video, comment down below. It just started raining. I literally thought someone was about to bring it into my house. We have a metal roof here. I just got scared shitless. I'm so sorry. Guys, thank you so much for watching. And please make sure to, share with friends and family. That is all for today's Marvel update. And I shall be back with a DC update fairly shortly. And I shall catch you all in the next video. Take care and peace.